Hello traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com, July the 18th, 2021. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the indices, all of which moved lower last week with the exception of the Hang Seng, the Nikkei, Bombay Stock Exchange, and emerging markets. The S&P 500 rallied this week into Wednesday and then reversed and started moving lower. Weak on Friday, close July OPEX, leaving us with price at the volatility trigger and gamma flip point. S&P options volume was very high, and we saw the heavily tilted towards the put side with the VIX moving higher. We have two bullish signals this week. 13 are neutral and the rest are bearish, leaving us with caution going into the start of August OPEX. We'll look at some IBD 50 names, stocks showing rising profit estimates, stocks on the move in green, some stocks from the scans, and stocks from the 950 crossover that are shown in green as well. Bukowski's 505 green with the CPI signal bearish at extremes, leaving us in a similar position that we've seen in the past where corrections have failed to materialize. That said, we are cautious going into this week. The S&P 500 spiders, as you can see in this weekly chart, were off just shy of 1%, while trading very near all-time highs, with the largest volume and price action occurring on Friday back to the 21-day moving average, with the potential of about a 3.5% pullback to the 50-day. If the markets do break down, RSI is still above 50. We did have above average volume, and we have all of our oscillators, MACD and stochastics, moving lower. NASDAQ weekly with that shy of 1% pullback, like we saw with the spiders, residing at highs with RSI near 70, and MACD just starting to turn with a divergence, as we've seen, with a higher high and MACD with a lower high, again leaving us with some caution going into the week. Small caps bared the brunt of the selling last week, with the IWM daily off 1.23% on Friday, with volume surging all week and MACD in a bearish trend and below its signal line. The Russell 2000 weekly also shows that 5% pullback for the week back into this area where we've seen wicks and buyers in the past. So we'll watch for any kind of buying in this area unless we see continuation, which would definitely be more bearish for the markets in general. We also saw the industrials off 0.86% on Friday. Interesting to note here, the 50-day moving average is starting to flatten out. The last time we saw this happen was back there in 2020. Price action dropped below the moving averages, so that's something we'll be watching for as well. Only 30 stocks, just something to consider as we start some of the weakest months of the year into August and September for the indices. With failed breakouts and buying the dip not working, we are very cautious going into Monday and Tuesday trading. The Dow Industrials on the weekly time frame shows only a 0.5% on the pullback. It's only 30 stocks, but we are holding near highs above the 9 and 21-day moving averages. Breadth also backed off last week. We see that the S&P 500 mid caps and small caps, in addition to the NASDAQ and the lower panel, were all drifting lower last week. This is actually setting up a bullish area or potential bounce as we reach extremes, similar to what was seen in the McClellan oscillators for both the NYSE and the NASDAQ composite, both of them drifting to extremes. This is an area where we would expect to see a reversal in the short term, which is echoed in the New York Stock Exchange advanced decline. While we're in the red zone, we are cautious, looking for potential follow-through together with the possibility of buyers stepping up at some point, so we'll need to watch for that as well. While the number of new highs also continued to show weakness, we did have a positive response. We were above zero again on Friday, looking for a push higher, while the indices continue this consolidation near highs. This leaves us with more of a neutral to bearish setup going into Monday and Tuesday trading. VIX is giving us a bearish signal going into Monday as we trade closer to that 20 level and above the 50-day moving average, with the expectation that the front month VIX versus the 3-month volatility index shows that strength in VIX in the front month could continue before it gets to an area where we would look for a reversal. Though previous pullbacks into this zone that didn't move all the way back down to the lower levels only resulted in short-term pullbacks, not longer-term pullbacks like we saw back in February that lasted for several weeks, which could be a caveat for the bears this week. Finally, with all of the puts that traded on Friday, we did see the CPC, the put-call ratio, rising. If it gets above 105 on Monday or Tuesday, this could be a short-term reversal signal as price action in the S&P 500 trades above the 50-day. The sector heat map also gives us reason to be cautious. As you can see, from week to week across the top panel, recorded on Fridays at the close, we have more sectors turning red, the heat map moving from yellows and oranges to crimson red in most cases, with some special weakness in the oil and gas exploration and production stocks. We did see some strength in utilities. That's an area to focus on. A lot of the stocks that showed up on scans were from the utilities, consumer staples, and healthcare groups going into this week. We also saw weakness in the international markets that need to be addressed, with most countries pulling back into Friday's close. Biotechs, IBB, XBI, LABU were all fairly strong last week as Moderna and other large cap biotech stocks rallied off a Thursday reversal into Friday. We also see continued strength in real estate, consumer staples, XLP, utilities exceptionally strong, and healthcare, XLV, with the latter three sectors suggesting defensive posturing by institutions. The biggest caution signal that I've seen as of late is the change in direction of the consumer discretionary XLY versus consumer staple XLP over the last few weeks. This signal has given us reason to get more flat or more defensive. Back in 2018, when this rolled over, it gave us about a month's notice before the markets pulled back. I'm not guaranteeing or suggesting that this is going to lead to a market correction of more than 5% at the moment. Hard to see that, but this is a signal that should be heeded. And if you have too much exposure, maybe think about hedging going into the next several weeks. The IBD 50 had a mix of names that are set up, whereas we might see MACD and stochastics be turning higher with RSI rising. AVTR, Bill.com, BILL, BX is looking fairly strong. Copart also looking good. CRL, Charles River Labs, looks good. DocuSign potentially. Globe, a fairly new name. HubSpot also looking for a follow-through. IIPR playing on the trend in cannabis stocks potentially being approved. Schumer talking about that on Friday, all of last week. Moderna also rallying last week as it will be added to the S&P 500. Funds are buying. We saw elevated volume. with NetEase, Pinterest potentially with a setup with a pullback to the 50-day moving average, setting up a potential trade if we get stochastics to turn here and MACD to cross back up as a function of price, of course. We'll be watching for something on Pinterest. While we did see some strength in the credit card and payment processors, Square is trying to hold on to the 21-day, while MasterCard pulled back from its recent high that we saw on Wednesday and Thursday, pulling back and producing a bearish engulfing candle on Friday. Not expecting a big pullback, looking for an opportunity though, with Visa showing similar price action, following through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then profit taking on Friday. We also saw a Z-scaler with a bounce near the 21-day, watching RSI and volume this week, starting to set up. Most of the stocks that we'll look at this week from the IBD 50 under similar circumstances where we have MACD and stochastics not quite set up, but volume showing maybe shorts have covered on this little pullback. A lot of the stocks that we'll be looking at this week giving similar signals, telling us to be cautious first and look for any kind of bounces on Monday and Tuesday, as many stocks showed relative strength like AME, Amtech, volume coming in, MACD above its signal line, stochastics rising, BNTX pushing higher. Not everything is pulling back with the markets. As we can see here, BioNTech with some of the stocks in the biotech groups looking much better. Following through, the volume picked up, MACD's about to cross over, stochastics rising. In addition to Edwards Life Sciences looking for a follow through, big volume on Friday. Stocks like DAVA, Endava continue higher, trending. No pullback, relative strength, volume increasing on Friday. MACD about to cross bullish. And with people going back to work, HHR, Headhunter Group, bouncing, looking for a follow through this week, volume picking up on Friday. While stocks with rising profit estimates like Google continued to trend, pulled back a little bit last week, but we did see buyers stepping up at the 9 EMA for 2 days straight. InMode also showed relative strength last week with buyers stepping up on Thursday into Friday, managing to hold above the 9 EMA, volume picking up, MACD above its signal line and rising. PayPal also watching for a potential re-entry on this one. Copart, CPRT, a company which takes vehicles that have been submerged in water or have some other sort of damage. They refurbish and restore the cars and vehicles and resell them on the auction, which help insurance companies recover losses. Looking like it's going to continue this trend. Volume keeps coming in, showing relative strength. Charles River Labs trending, looking for a push higher as well. IDEX Laboratories also showing potential for a breakout. Note the relative strength as well as the RSI muscle, showing strength of trend persisting. This company is in the veterinary sciences industry group. NICE also managed a bullish follow-through, relative strength last week. I noticed that Anton and a few of you in the trading room are still in this one, looking for a follow-through. Thermo Fisher also showed a lot of strength last week on Thursday and Friday when the markets were pulling back. Make a note of it. Also check earnings dates before you take any of these potential positions this week. Viva Systems bouncing at the 21-day on Thursday, Friday. Stocks from the volume scan look for unusual volume. In most cases, these were with electric utilities last week. Quest Diagnostics, obviously an aging population. We're seeing profits in this company continue, looking for a follow-through. First Energy, another utility, looking for a follow-through here as well. Strength, volume coming in. Don't forget, real estate stocks were very strong the last couple of weeks, looking for a follow-through. Here's Healthcare Realty Trust, bouncing as well. IMAB showing volume on Friday, a bounce above the 50-day moving average. PerkinElmer, we've traded before. These pullbacks tend to get bought, watching RSI and volume. Pinnacle West, looking for a follow-through here as well, breaking higher. PPL and other energy names looking strong. volume coming in. Sportsman's Warehouse, also looking for relative strength in this name, following through. Fairly inexpensive stock, but volume coming in, popping up on the scan. RSI is back above 50. Sempra Energy, SRE, showing strength. Volume coming in. Look for a follow through this week. And Unilever pushing higher. The stocks in the consumer staples, utilities, and healthcare groups are most likely going to follow through this week. If we see strength there, that would tell us that institutions are continuing with their defensive posture going into this week. Okay, traders, this is going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com with your weekend video newsletter for July the 18th. I'll send out a watch list later tonight around 12 o'clock midnight on the East Coast, around 9 o'clock on the West Coast, so be sure to look for that in your inbox. Have a great weekend, everyone. I know this was a little bit shorter than usual, but I want to get outside and enjoy the weekend. Take care, have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Ciao.